this. Gotta holler if you really feeling this. Gotta holler if you really real enough. Other rappers is delirious. Yeah, it's really that serious. Better holler if you really feeling me. I gotta keep it 100, ayy. If you don't like it, then fuck it, ayy. We gonna win in the end, yeah, we gonna live in abundance. I gotta keep it 100, ayy. If you don't like it, then fuck it, ayy. We gonna win in the end, yeah, we gonna. I gotta keep it 100. We gotta stop all the stunting. You know we coming from nothing. Yo, you talking about money, you bluffing. We gotta do something different. We gotta change how we live in. We gotta do better for women. We gotta do better for children. We gotta listen to victims, whether Jewish or Muslim or Christian. It doesn't matter your religion. You gotta stand against the system, or else you just another villain. How you just sitting there chilling?
Good afternoon, everybody. Out there on the airways, Spotify, Facebook, Instagram, wherever you are, wherever you get your podcast. Thank you so much for listening to me, little old me, and thank you so much for actually looking for different perspectives while mainstream news wants to talk shit about certain things. But that's not even what we're here about to talk about. I'm just pissed about certain stuff that happened earlier. Ebonique, is that how it's pronounced your name? I want to make sure I say your name right. Okay, so we have Ebonique here, and she is a arts collector, but she budgets out art. I actually tell the audience what you actually do. It's actually really interesting.
So I never know how to start, but I'm going to start how I'm just going to say. So
Yep.
When I started, I was working in politics, and Trump got elected, and I just was crying myself to sleep every night. I was just really upset with everything. And my husband said, get a hobby. Like, all you do is politics. So of course you're not de-stressing. And so I said, okay, I'm going to make art appreciation my hobby. I'm going to spend $5,000 a year to travel to art exhibits and museums and just like learn more. And then, and blog about my experience. So I was like writing, I actually was YouTubing about my experience because, I had like an old YouTube, it's a long aside. I had an old YouTube channel, and it happened to have like 100,000 views. And I just posted one video on the channel, and it had like 100,000 views. And I was like, if I press monetize, my channel is capable of being monetized because it was like so many. So I was like, right. I'm going to like go and monetize my channel and like make little YouTube blogs about art. And so one of the blogs I was making, I saw this beautiful, for reference, I saw this painting of this beautiful Black woman painted in like the 17th century by this Italian painter. And it was like a gorgeous painting. And when I clicked save, I saw that it was coming from like Christie's or Sotheby's site. And it was $5,000, my exact budget. And I never thought I could find art. Like, you only read the headlines and you see like an Andy Warhol selling for $190 million, a Basquiat selling for $150 million. You don't think like, oh, my little budget could afford art. And so when I saw that, I was like, oh, wow. And then I put it in my cart, and Sotheby's or Christie's had an additional fee of like $20,000. So I couldn't buy it.
Oh my God.
And I was like, but it made me think maybe I can afford fine art, but I just need to find someone to like research for me, because I'm still working my job that was, taking on my life. And I was like, I just need to find somebody to research. And I learned about like art advisors, but the typical art advisor, they take like a 10% commission. So if I had a $5,000 budget, unless they specialize in like how Europeans painted Africans, which there are some, they're not going to, for $5,000, they're not going to really be giving me the expertise that I want, because they'd only be paid $500. So they wouldn't, with $500, it's not enough time and money to scour the world appropriately for me to get my beautiful Black women paintings. So I said, well, what if I get a group of people? Like, I hand out a group of people who like the same type of art, and I hand them to an art advisor. But this was also very difficult for me as well. And then COVID-19 hit, and my little sister was in Chicago, and my parents were like, pick up your sister. She's in a hot spot. We don't want her at our house. You keep her because you're young and healthy, and you quarantine her. And so, like, I quarantined her, and she just happens to be a computer science major, winning awards for NSF, big scientific computer science things, obsessed with artificial intelligence. She just happens to be brilliant, and my sister. And when I told her about my little problem, she was like, oh, you should just use artificial intelligence. That would solve all your problems. And I was like, that's so hard. Like, I don't think I can do it. And she was like, oh my goodness, it's so easy. Let me show you how.
Oh, wow. So your sister put you on to tech and reaching out on being an arts collector through technology. So how did that go? What was the journey in that?
It went amazing. Like, as soon as we got together, we built the app. So the app basically, it's like, as I said, I have like a really niche taste. And before she came, I actually wrote like a book on art, or on how to do art collecting. And so basically I took the book and made it an app. And so like, for me, as an art collector, is somebody who goes to museums and goes to galleries. So it's art collector is not somebody who just like, oh, I like art one day, but they have some knowledge of the art world. And so the app gives you the foundation to learn about the art world. And while you're learning about the art world, the major themes, the major categories of the art world, you're also learning about yourself. And so one thing I noticed is like a lot of people say, I like art, but they can't tell the difference between Impressionism or Expressionism, Baroque, Rococo. They don't know. And so like this app is a fun way for you to know, and a fun way for you to learn about art. And it tells you what types of art you like. Like, you might like your logo is red, green, and black. You might have a preference for red, green, and black, and the AI can tell you like, you know, this is your color scheme preference. And so we're about to launch a new feature where it goes even deeper into sort of telling you what you like than what our current app has. And we're gonna that's our goal, is to keep going deeper and deeper into like helping you as an individual. Just like our beta users during our first beta test, they were like, oh, it's something I just do in the office or like in the bathroom. Like it's just a part of your life. That's our goal, is to have it be a part of your life and just something for you to do for fun.
It's amazing how AI can do things like that. I mean, like even the algorithms on Facebook, if you look up cats a lot, you're going to start seeing content about cats. YouTube as well too. Then that's just automatic.
But that's the thing that we go through. Like we're both really big AI ethicists, or like I'm a pretender, and she's probably trying to become an actual person. But like we both believe that I hate Facebook and YouTube and all these things sometimes, because they think you are who you are.
Right.
They think because you like looking at cats, that's who like they try to make you as narrow as possible, and not think that I'm going to show you something different, and it sort of like puts us in these silos. And so you end up, I feel like nowadays, because of the way algorithms are trained, we end up being too divisive, because we're all like placed into these silos where you only hear from people who are similar to you, and they only hear from, and the people who are different than you only hear people who are similar to them. And so when you finally merge and meet, there's like, you have totally different news that you listen to like you're just too different to meet. And so like we're still building our algorithm now. Like right now it's just like completely random. You just see images random. But one of the things that we're trying to battle is not to make an algorithm that's a silo. Just because you say you like cats doesn't mean that we're not going to introduce you to I don't know. So I don't want to just say dogs like the opposite, but you know, like it doesn't mean that we're not going to introduce you to buildings, you know, and you're not going to be just siloed into like this is, you know, that's not how we want to build our algorithm, if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine that somebody is so in love with cats that they can love dogs, but also I know people that are just strictly dog people and strictly cats people. So it could be either or with that. But that's dope that you're literally taking your time to see what is the best way to fit someone that is using your product to look for some kind of art that fits their personality. I mean, you can imagine there's never a right or wrong answer. It's probably going to be ongoing. You know, you might find something out while the app is going on 10 years later or something like that. It's like, oh, why did we just do that?
Yeah, it's definitely how it is. Like today, we had a minor controversy that I don't want to completely go into it, but it made us think like, we didn't like publish our like ethical moral principles on our website, and like
I got you.
ethically and morally what kind of art should be showcased on our app. And like I'm sure that document will be a living document. It won't be like you know, these are the rules today and that's final, but it will be like, you know, hopefully, like I think everyone's morals evolve to become better and stronger. And so like you know, and I guess building a company, like I wish
that was my cat. Sorry.
Oh, lovely.
She's a little
Speaking of
booger.
cats.
I don't know if anybody heard that. If guys you heard that, that was my cat. She likes to knock things off the table. But continue. Right. I what is the price range? So say if someone is making about $30,000 a year, are they able to afford anything on the app?
We're not a marketplace, so we're just like a data tool for anyone. And so there are artists that sell their stuff as we got a research grant from the illustrious Stanford University. And that's what we were, one of the things we were testing was we should be launching this like new great features soon. But they were, so there was an artist on our platform that wanted to sell their work for $50 or somewhere between $50 and $100.
Nice.
But we knew that there were people on our platform that had a budget of $20,000 a year to spend on art. So we know, like, if you buy this at $50 or $100, you can definitely probably flip it for even more. And so that's the kind of data that we intend to provide our users. It's just like, where, you know, like you don't buy music from Spotify.
Right.
You go on Spotify to learn more about different music, but you buy it on your own time. And so like, that's where we see ourselves as more like a Spotify platform where you go in there to learn about art and to be connected to artists and events like a real art advisor. Like the story I always tell is like, I'm obsessed with Andy Warhol. I'm obsessed with like the great artists like Basquiat, like who were they before they become rich and famous, or like Vincent van Gogh is a story I always say.
This was a former Madonna boyfriend, right? Basquiat.
Yeah. But yeah. Basquiat studied under Andy Warhol, sort of. And so, like, Andy Warhol is a story I say a lot because there's a lot of references and research. And so, in the 70s, an Andy Warhol piece was about $25,000 in today's dollars. And now, one of his pieces sold this summer for $195 million.
Wow.
So, like, and the story I always like to say is like going to see, like, to buy an Andy Warhol original had to be one of the most amazing experiences in your life, because he had this place called the Factory where like all the best supermodels in the 60s and 70s hung out there. He was always at Studio 54. He was like this coolest gay guy you've ever met. And then beautiful women all surround him, handsome men. Right. And to like hang out in the factory, and like the types of people who would go to the factory and buy it because it was $25,000, like in today's dollars, they were like middle class men working a 9 to 5, just borrowing the coolness of Andy Warhol. And so like, to me, it feels like to be in the 70s and buy Andy Warhol, it's like you go to the factory and that's an experience in itself that's worth $25,000. To leave memorabilia that ends up being $195 million, that's amazing. And so like
ridiculous.
Typically an art advisor would be the only one to connect you with these kind of things. And so like that's what we're trying to bridge, is like providing an AI-based art advisor to everyone. And we haven't actually launched the payment portion yet, but that should be launched probably by the time this podcast is released. And it will be, the first price will be around like $5-10 a year. So if you're one of the first 1,000 people who buy it at $5 or $10 a year, we're gonna keep you at that price forever, and you're just gonna be known as our loyalist supporters and the best people in the world who believed in us when we were tiny. But then we're gonna raise the price to $10 a month once we add in extra features. So it is a massive steal to get it for like the $10 a year price, I guess. But it's but then, you know, but at the $10 a month price, it's like not even that much. So,
yeah, that's actually amazing.
Yeah,
because look, I spend $10 a month on Hulu. I got the Disney Plus bundle and Netflix. I could definitely see somebody that's so into art spending $10 a month getting access to art, especially pieces that could be worth like thousands or millions of dollars down the line, like in like say 20 years or something like that. You're in a rock and a hard place, and you're like, damn, but I need the extra cash or something, and you find out this piece that you have, even though if you don't want to part with it, so like it's like worth all this money and it can help you. It's like an investment. It really is. That's really dope. That's why you don't understand how excited I was when I heard about you, because I was like, you're really like like getting access for working people to be able to have art and stuff like that. Like art. I live in New Haven. I've seen the galleries. I've drunk wine with the bougie people and all that stuff. Sat in front of pieces that were worth thousands of dollars. This is pre-COVID with my crazy behind, just all trying to be mingle and be friends with people. And I know, without a shadow of doubt, there's only 2 places in New Haven I could think of, which was 3 Sheets, that actually sold art for like $50 pieces, $100 pieces. The most I ever saw was like a $200 piece. But everywhere else, $5,000 pieces, $10,000 pieces. It's ridiculous. It's discouraging. So this is revolutionary. Uh-oh.
Sorry.
No problem. No, I'll repeat what I just said. I said I live in New Haven. So I have seen it all with the wine, drinking, and going to these places where there's $5,000 pieces, $10,000 pieces, and there's only like 2 spots in New Haven compared to all those places where you'll find $200, $50, $100 pieces. I did a LGBTQ open mic and art gallery, and we had pieces there that were like $10, $50, $100. But that's very rare to see in New Haven, especially when Yale is right. Like Yale runs the city, so you'll always see an art that's like worth so much more. So it's a great investment for a working person. This is revolutionary for a working person to be able to have access. It's dope.
That's what I think it will be. So, and then it's entirely free. Like it's like Spotify where you don't have to choose. And we're trying to like where you'd be able to like follow and chart, I think 3 pieces for free, and then if it was if you had more than 3, you would pay $10 a month. And we're trying to keep out ads too, because who wants ads? So
yeah, no one's in the business of ads anymore, really.
Yeah, so we just want it to be like a personal experience, and hope that we can make enough. And also, we just want to revolutionize the art market, because like the other thing is like art workers make too little money, and by bringing technology and becoming the technological infrastructure, I'm hopeful that we have a system that will raise the wages of all workers, because these typical museums and galleries will be competing with hopefully us, the big tech giant of the art world, who will be paying fair wages and good wages, because it's led by a Black woman, and Black women don't work like that.
That's absolutely awesome. I love how you mentioned just how much artists get paid. That's one thing that we talk about 24/7 on this podcast, especially on the musician side. I'm a musician, so we talk about that all the time, of just what they go through. Just talking about Spotify alone, people get penny, like a percent of a penny off of plays. I was in a band that we had over we are still counting over 500,000 plays, and probably higher than that now. And the money that we get out of that is I mean, there's so much about the industry, especially with record labels and all that stuff. So artists just that create amazing art, they definitely struggle as well. So I can see that. I know only a few, and I see the hardship they go through. So it's definitely important that they get a chance to have an outlet. That's so true. To be able to get better income or in exposure, because it's an app, so that means anybody can see it.
And it's definitely like leadership. I feel like you have to have leadership that cares about not only the staff of the company, but the system itself. And so like so often you don't see that, like these people own these huge companies, and they could really change the way the world works, but they are so singularly minded onto their their revenue, and not like thinking about like, let's revolutionize everything, like let's rethink everything, so that, and let's challenge ourselves, like let's say to ourselves, like, how can we do better, and like how can we hold ourselves more accountable. But not a lot of people think like that.
No, not really. Which is so dope that people like you are thinking like that, because I think that's the future, especially looking at inflation and everything that's going on right now. People are going to need more outlets. Like you said, you literally like thought about this when Trump was elected, and you were very depressed about that, and you want to do something, and you found something to occupy you for dealing with that orange monster. That is, I totally resonate with that. I wanted to talk about real quick, just a side segue. You said that you were into politics. Were you like on the city council? Were you part of the Democratic Party, or?
I was working at a nonprofit, I believe, in 2016. And it was like a political. I mean, no nonprofit's supposed to be political, but they really were.
Yeah, so. They are.
So it was difficult. So I don't know. I don't now. Like, I mean, I care about politics, but at the same time, it feels so different, and I feel so free and removed from it.
Right. But you found a new love.
But one time, like the one thing that I did post. So I was like trying to make the company work for a while before we got some funding. And so sometimes I would accept a political contract. And one of the ones that was like really fun for me was I don't know why I got into this. I told somebody, oh yeah, I don't remember why. Someone gave me like some money to do this new political thing where I had a lot of friends who were sex workers, and I didn't realize like the discrimination they felt. And there was like this one candidate that I worked with who was a sex worker, previously was a sex worker, and I actually found out about her because somebody was smearing her, like somebody I worked with was smearing her just because she was a sex worker, and I was like, that's not right. You know, she was a sex worker like 10 years ago. So what? You know, like she still has a free thinking mind, and she is still a woman, a human being, a person. And then when I started thinking about it, like with the rise of OnlyFans and all this stuff, there's going to be like many women like her in the future.
Huge rise.
So, yeah. And so if we don't like, you know, eradicate the stigma now, you know, in the like, I'm really into like women running for office. If we don't eradicate the stigma now, it's going to be really hard to find women to run 20 years from now. So I got like a political contract to like try to advocate for sex workers in politics, and working more on that for a little bit while I was trying to make this company work. So that was really fun for me to be able to talk about that. So
that's actually really, really powerful. Just a segue on that, a lot of people don't know how big of a movement that is just for sex workers. They actually got unionized in Europe, sex workers. I just want people to know that. Like, that's how big
I know there's
of
a
a deal
union
this is.
here. There's a union here in the United States, Adult Performing Artists Guild, that I'm still friends with the former vice president.
Wow, that's dope.
She's now former, so and I do know the president, but I'm closer to the former vice president.
I definitely admire your advocacy. And it definitely has to be tough conversations that you have with people that question you about stuff like this. But I admire your advocacy, and that's dope. So screw them. Yeah, I mean, so are you looking at a certain demographic? Because I know that you're very huge, which this is dope on women empowerment, and also Black women empowerment, especially. Are you looking to make sure that a lot of Black women art is prioritized within the app, or in other minorities, LGBTQ?
I mean, I definitely care, but what's our big thing is that whatever your preferences are, you should be able to see them on the app. And so we're not big on pushing anyone in particular, but we're hoping that just in general, like most museums, don't quote me on the statistic, but 70% of the stuff in museums is white men. So we're hopeful that this kind of data will showcase that like maybe that's not appropriate. And so that's what we're trying to do with the app. Is like, one of the things that I found was difficult for me as a burgeoning collector was that you go to a gallery and it's just like the way the gallery owner usually chooses to work is they already have like one or two buyers that are like they're just already super rich people who buy most of their stuff. And so they're sort of building their gallery in mind of the buyers that they already have. They're not building their galleries in mind of their community. And so with this data-led app, with your ratings, we can go to the gallery owners and say, hey, you know, the stuff that you're picking out for white older men is not the only stuff that you can pick out. Like, you might be able to make more money by showcasing this. And hopefully the data is that diversity wins. But at the end of the day, we're not trying to push any, we don't have an agenda on what your tastes are. So, I mean, but at the same time, like, we are the company, so like we advertise diversity, you know, we push diversity, we'll have diverse events, we love diversity, but we're not going to force diversity on our users. And
where are you based at?
We're now based in Tulsa, Oklahoma, the home
Ooh,
of the race riots. And so it's been
interesting.
home of
Yeah.
the Black Wall Street Massacre. So
Right.
it's been very special to us as a company, I think, because
Uh-huh.
the leaders of Tulsa, they just had the 100-year anniversary last year, and the
Yeah.
community has really come together to support Black and Brown founders, and we're one of the companies that they've supported and given us the funds to get to a new, and we now have more downloads than 60% of all apps on Google Play. So we're at new heights because of Tulsa and what the community has come together to help us with.
That's powerful. I didn't know that you were based in Tulsa, Oklahoma. That's powerful. And I'm so happy that there's such a big community there for Black people, especially because that's rough. And just getting the opportunity to like empower and with this Black business and also showing that like you have a great knowledge on what you want to do and what you want to accomplish with these goals and how it could be community oriented. It's a lot of people do not think that way, especially in the art world. It's very tough. So I hope there's more Eboniques in the future. Honestly, that's like revolutionizing art like this, because this is really dope. Like everyone should know about this. Honestly, um, yeah, it's really dope.
Yeah, we
I'm
just have to support each other. One of the things
right.
I did was I helped support the startup bus Black entrepreneurs, and so
Hmm.
I think we just went and then support and challenge each other. So I don't want there to be another Benique. I want there to be like a Jabari. I want to support other Black people and get them to the highest heights, because I feel like just having more diverse leadership challenges ourselves to think differently.
Right. Right. Yeah, and more voices are out there, the more that we can't be ignored. And this is the perfect time because it's 2022 and everybody is like, since Black Panther, everyone has been trying very hard to just like be like very trying to open more understanding, and just gotta keep it going, keep this momentum going. And I was wary at first with just the hashtags because I just felt like we're just hashtaggers, and I'm like, oh, what else are you doing? What else are you doing? Because when you grow up in the streets, we need opportunity, and we need to find opportunity. And I think that there's more options now for opportunity. This is a huge opportunity for some kid that's an artist that growing up on welfare or not having the best school environment or community environment, and their only escape is art. I knew so many kids that were so great at drawing in high school, and I always wonder where they're at right now. I really do. I know a few of them that are doing extremely well on Instagram. Like they just took Instagram platform by storm. But I, it's literally one of those outlets that can save kids and give them opportunities.
Completely agree. And the USC was the other thing, which was interesting about our research, was that a lot of artists don't know how to price their things, and they wouldn't know how to get their items to the people who can buy it at that price range. And so,
Right.
that's what we're trying to do for the second iteration of our app, is give that information to artists. Like, hey, if they're selling it at 25,000, maybe we might say to them, only 5% of the people who like your art are buying it at 25,000. So, or can have 25,000. If you sold it at 5,000, you'd have, you might make more money. And so we give them this kind of data. And then by joining our platform, they'll also have access to instead of having to advertise themselves, we advertise them. And so that's what we're trying to do, is like just create something so that more people have opportunities. And we have like even bigger plans if we continue to be as successful as we have been doing. If we get to the Spotify point, I hope no one is telling us that I can't believe they're only giving us pennies. I want us to feel, we're always going to be challenging ourselves to like give more to the community, the art community, and do more for the art community.
Yeah, that's really dope. That's really dope. This is better than I thought it was going to be. Like, I was like, wow, we're going to learn about art. And then like you came in and just was like, no, we're not just learning about art. We're going to teach these artists how to budget and how to be a part of the scene, as in getting your art to the right people and all these things. We're going to teach them how to grow as an artist. Like, that's it's dope. You know what I mean? It's really dope.
Yeah.
And not only that, we're going to build community. Like, I love shit like that. I get freaking excited about shit like that.
Me too.
So where could people can find the app on all app stores?
It should be, by the time this is released, it
should
be in all app stores. It is available. It is available for Apple, or on budgetcollector.org. In test flight right now, but by the time it's published, it will be available on the App Store. And you would just look up AI Art Advisor. And we'd probably be on the top, hopefully on Apple, when you look that up.
Okay, yeah, definitely. I'm gonna make sure I put that information in the link below, so people can check it out. Thank you so much for coming on, in sharing what you guys are doing, because it's really, really great. Your sister is the shit for this, like being able to help you out on that. Like, a lot of people spend so much money on app building, some people go bankrupt over apps, and the fact that you have a family member that is willing to help you out, that's just a blessing within itself. Like, such a blessing.
Yeah, and I guess that's why I'm big on like helping other people, because I helped her before. So like, I feel like if you help people without thinking like what you're going to get from it,
right,
you're probably going to get something really big, much bigger than you expected when you with your initial help. So if I was going to leave on some parting advice, it's like help someone with no regard for yourself, and do that often, and that will probably come back in 10 times.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on. We'd love to have you back on down the line when your app is up and running and everything. Definitely like to have you come back, and I love what you're doing, and really, really wish you goddamn best with all of this, because it's definitely going to change things.
Thanks. And the app is up and running, 1,000 downloads in the Google Store. So
awesome.
Please download it. And
can you email me the link so I can make sure I have it? Awesome. And for everyone that's listening, thank you so much for taking the time to listen to us. And please check out Ebonique's work, because this is something that I think it's going to be very, very big, and it's different, and it's for the working people. So we hardly get stuff. They got the IRS sending 80,000 agents to make sure our money is the way they want it. Like, so this is dope. So thank you, everybody, and have a very, very nice day. And thank you so much, Ebonique, for coming on. And I hope you have a good day too.
Blank period, yeah. On my black, brown, and indigenous. Gotta holler if you really feeling this. Gotta holler if you really real enough. Other rappers is delirious. Yeah, it's really that serious. Better holler if you really feeling me. I gotta keep it 100, ayy. If you don't like it, then fuck it, ayy. We gonna win in the end, yeah, we gonna live in abundance. I gotta keep it 100, ayy. If you don't like it, then fuck it, ayy. We gonna win in the end, yeah, we gonna. I gotta keep it 100. We gotta stop all the stunting. You know we coming from nothing. Yo, you talking about money, you bluffing. We gotta do something different. We gotta change how we live in. We gotta do better for women. We gotta do better for children. We gotta listen to victims, whether Jewish or Muslim or Christian. It doesn't matter your religion. You gotta stand against the system, or else you just another villain. How you just sitting there chilling?
I appreciate what you do because I do believe that the work that you're doing, and so folks watching and listening, please support Jamar, because he and others like him are the linkage that allows all those parts of the body to communicate with each other, to interact with each other, to link with one another. Without this communication piece, we're just all doing our things separately. And so please support this platform, other platforms, other people like Jamar who are doing this work, because that's what we need to move this movement forward, grow it, build it, and eventually win.